Just hours after Fed Chairman Jerome Powell told America the, quote, U.S. banking system is sound and resilient, it fell off a cliff as major regional lender PacWest collapsed over 50% in aftermarket. And so, paired with the collapse of First Republic last weekend, by assets, the 2023 bank collapse has now officially exceeded the 2008 collapse, with apparently a lot more to come from this very sound and resilient banking system of ours. Even the bottom feeders are slinking off as Toronto Dominion, Canada's second biggest bank, just scrapped plans to buy First Horizon out of Memphis, putting First Horizon and its $80 billion in deposits on the hospice list, its shares plunging 52% on the day. As I mentioned the other day, what's scary here is that going by 2008, the early collapses are only the beginning, the screaming prelude to an extinction-level culling of banks crawling off to die. In raw numbers, the 25 U.S. banks that collapsed in 2008 were followed by a drumbeat totaling 440 banks in the following 4 years. That's 110 per year, compared to 2 per year pre-crisis. So we haven't even begun to see what's coming. The other day I mentioned interest rate hikes typically take 12 to 18 months to really hit the economy, and we're barely 6 months in. So lining up against the 2008 crisis implies the real storm is not even hitting for another year. These are the first breezes of a coming hurricane, and yet here we are. Meanwhile, we've got an article today from London's Financial Times by Krishna Guha. He is former executive VP of the New York Fed. That's the part of the Fed that actually runs the show, saying European banks could be in serious trouble given they face the exact same problems U.S. banks do, thanks to the European Central Bank running the exact same playbook the Fed did. Hike till it breaks. Pray for a miracle. In fact, the EU is even more dependent on regular banks, given their shriveled non-bank sector. By some measures, banks are almost twice as big relative to their economies. And going by 2008, those banks are in even worse shape than U.S. banks. Even though 2008 was entirely made in America by our insane housing policies, it collapsed the largest bank in Switzerland, the venerable UK bank Lloyds, founded 1765, and Royal Bank of Scotland, founded 1727, and it collapsed some of the largest banks in Germany, Holland, Belgium, Ireland, Portugal, and Spain. That domino collapse in Europe ultimately led to a sovereign crisis that countries like Greece never fully recovered from. Now, given EU financial stresses are far higher than in 2008, partly for their suicidal environmental and deindustrialization policies, Europe could once again ride America's clown show straight off a cliff. Ernest Hemingway once wrote, "There are two ways to go bankrupt, gradually, then suddenly." It is looking like suddenly is getting a whole lot faster. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.